in front of 10 West 33rd Street, a disgruntled former employee of a company at that address shot and killed a former co-worker, striking him 3 times. The subject, Jeffrey Johnson, age 53, then fled eastbound on West 33rd Street to 5th Avenue when he walked northbound along the curb line with a .45 caliber handgun secreted in a black bag that he had under his arm. A construction worker who had followed Johnson from West 33rd Street alerted 2 uniformed police officers who were on post in front of the Empire State Building's 5th Avenue entrance as part of our counterterrorism coverage. As the 2 officers approached Johnson, he pulled his .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol from his bag and fired on the officers, who returned fire, killing him. Johnson had been employed for 6 years at Hazan Imports, Hazan Imports, as a designer of women's accessories. During a downsizing at the company about a year ago, Johnson was laid off. In a dispute with one of the former employees of Hazan in front of the building, Johnson produced the pistol and fired at close range, striking his 41-year-old victim in the head.
Some may have been shot accidentally by police officers who responded immediately, and while confronting the suspect and fatally shooting him, unfortunately, there may have been other victims as well. There's speculation that that's what happened, but we do know that we have on tape the perpetrator pulled his gun out and tried to shoot at the cops. Whether he got off any bullets or not, to be determined. How many he shot earlier, to be determined. We do know that the cops fired back. The tape clearly shows the guy has the gun out and is trying to kill the police officers.
A gunman has shot several people outside the Empire State Building in New York. Police say at least 2 people have been killed, including the gunman himself. Others have been injured. Officials are still trying to figure out exactly what happened. The mayor, Michael Bloomberg, is expected to address the media shortly. We'll, of course, bring you this as soon as he does. Let's speak to our correspondent, meanwhile, Al Jazeera's Scott Heidler, who is also in New York. Scott, tell us what we know so far about this incident. Any indication of what the motives might have been, about the identity of this gunman?
Yeah, no idea of motivation or identity of the gunman just yet. We're very early stages in this investigation. We're being told by police that they are still in charge of the investigation. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they are here on scene, but supporting the NYPD, the police department here. That is mainly because they believe, the FBI don't believe that there are any terrorism-related backing to this attack. That's still, again, early shakes, but for now, the New York Police Department is in charge. And the police commissioner, Ray Kelly, will also be addressing the media along with Mayor Michael Bloomberg in the coming minutes. This incident happened just under 2 hours ago at the Empire State Building, in front of the Empire State Building, right in Midtown Manhattan, just after 9 a.m. local time on a Friday. It's a very touristy area. There's an observation deck on top of the building. There are always tour buses lined out front, dropping off people, picking people up. So it would have been a very, very busy time when this happened. And also, we're still getting kind of conflicting reports of exactly how many people were wounded, injured, and then also it's still undetermined yet if the gunman was killed by a police bullet or if it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So that, hopefully, we'll be getting some more details when the mayor and the police commissioner hold a press conference in the coming minutes. Gita.
Thanks very much for now, Scott. Scott Heidler in New York. And we're going to take you live to New York now, where Ray Kelly, New York's police commissioner, is speaking about the shooting incident outside the Empire State Building.
Laid off. In a dispute with one of the former employees of Hazan in front of the building, Johnson produced the pistol and fired at close range, striking his 41-year-old victim in the head. We're withholding the victim's identity until family notifications can be made. The area in and around the Empire State Building remains an active crime scene, with 5th Avenue closed from just below 42nd Street to 33rd Street. 33rd Street is closed between Madison Avenue and the Avenue of Americas. 34th Street is closed between 7th and Madison Avenue. Mr. Mayor.
Let me just stress that this is the beginning of an investigation. There were a lot of people that were injured. 2 are dead, the perpetrator and his victim. Nobody else, thank God. But the rest is, we're doing an investigation. We'll be happy to take a few questions, but I'm not sure we know any more than what I've just said. Yes, sir. He does not appear to have a criminal record, but it is at the very beginning of our investigation. We don't know very much about him. We're just starting the investigation. We're trying to fill you in because the public is concerned, and they should be, but we just don't know yet about the victim or what interaction had occurred, whether there was any between the victim and the murderer. Yes, miss?
Children that were shot?
Do we know the ages of anybody?
Yes, the shooter was 53 years of age. The person who was killed is 41 years of age.
Any of the others?
The people, there were no children who were shot, I would say, and no elderly people, people in middle age range. I'm sorry?
How many men?
I believe there are 2 women and 7 men.
Yes, sir.
There's a time frame in between the first shooting and
Yes.
how it was blown up by police. Do you have an idea of the time frame?
Walked a block, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Because the police were there on their usual counterterrorism assignments, saw this, went after him. A construction worker helped identify them. They had approached. The guy pulled a gun and tried to shoot the cops and kill the cops, and the cops returned fire, and he is dead. The perpetrator is dead. Yes?
Clarify how many weapons the...
We think there's only 2, or there's only 1 weapon from the perpetrator, and then, of course, the police officers in defending themselves. Yes, miss?
Any information about the gun yet? Like how to get a hold of it, if it's licensed?
We have no information, miss. That's the trouble, and we'll be happy to, as we get information later in the day, One Police Plaza will be happy to put it out, but it's just at the very preliminary times, and we don't want to speculate on everything. We do know the number of people shot, and we do know that the victim is dead and that the perpetrator is dead. Yes, sir?
Where was the construction worker, and do we know who he is? And is he the hero in this?
I don't know. We all use the words hero. He did what he should have done. He identified what he saw to the police. When he saw something, he said something and then turned it over to the professionals, and that's that. Yes?
Did you say that some shots were fired by the police that might have hit some of the bystanders?
We don't know. There's speculation that that's what happened, but we do know that we have on tape the perpetrator pulled his gun out and tried to shoot at the cops. Whether he got off any bullets or not, to be determined. How many he shot earlier, to be determined. We do know that the cops fired back. The tape clearly shows the guy has the gun out and is trying to kill the police officers. Which we just said, miss, he worked for an apparel company, women's apparel. Yes, miss?
Can you say that the officers fired? And how many...
We're still under investigation. We don't know. The details are going to change, and later on today, 1PP will put it out. I don't want to give you any misinformation. Yes, miss?
What are the officers in the process of doing right now, and how long is this perimeter going to be?
Well, it's going to take a while. We always look for shell casings. We look for witnesses. We look at videos from building security cameras. The police go through a honed checklist of looking for evidence without destroying anything and getting as many witnesses. If anybody's seen anything, if you call the police department, call 311, and they'll connect you with the appropriate people, and we'd love to have every bit of information. We'll take 1 or 2 more because I think we're just going about the same things. I want to see anybody new.
Say anything, Commissioner?
We don't think the government said any. Would you? Did the government? Not as far.
Unknown at this time.
Unknown. It happened very quickly. It happened very recently. Do we know where the suspect? Where's the suspect from? The shooter?
He lives in Manhattan.
Yes, last question, miss.
Mr. Mayor, also, at this point, you said that there were multiple shots from officers possibly inadvertently hitting
correct.
civilians.
Where it's under investigation, we just don't know.
Only 2 officers to fire shots, those that the suspected
We
shooter
believe
tried
the
to
only shots were fired by the perpetrator and by the police department. There's no evidence that anybody else was involved. The police department was 2 officers who were there.
2 officers.
That's correct. That's all we know at this point in time. If it's something different, yes. If not, we're going to go over the same thing. Yeah.
interaction happened on the street. The suspect came into the building and then was...
We don't know where he came from. Everything occurred outside. And it happened to be near the Empire State Building, but as far as we know, there was no connection to nobody going in or out. The company that he worked for is a local company, but not in the Empire State Building, is my understanding. All right, last question, miss. Yes, it's a .45 caliber pistol that has 8 magazine holes, 8. Yes, miss, last question. Is that your question?
The investigation is still in its very early stages. New York's Mayor Michael Bloomberg there talking about what he called the very scarce information available about the shooting incident at this stage. Shooting incident that took place just a couple of hours ago at the Empire State Building in Midtown Manhattan. Still no information about the gunman who shot people there. All we know at this stage is that it is a man in his mid-50s. We'll bring you more information, of course, as soon as we do get it.